Have you ever noticed how the moment you begin to think differently, to see life more clearly, you also begin to feel more distant from the world around you? It's not because you hate people. It's not because you've suddenly become arrogant. It's because once you stop chasing what everyone else is chasing, the game changes. And whether you like it or not, you start walking a different path. This is not loneliness. This is not rejection. This is the quiet and powerful reality that philosophers, like the Stoics, spoke of. When you stop being enslaved by external noise, you naturally create distance. Distance from illusions. Distance from shallow connections. Distance from the constant need to prove yourself to others. Today we're going to explore why the one who chooses truth, discipline, and authenticity often walks alone, and why that solitude is not a curse, but a gift. When a person begins to wake up, the world around them suddenly looks different. Conversations that once felt entertaining now sound empty. Small talk filled with gossip, complaints, and meaningless competition no longer brings satisfaction. The Stoics understood this well. Marcus Aurelius wrote in his Meditations, "The tranquility that comes when you stop caring what they say, or think, or do. Only what you do. You don't withdraw from others because you despise them. You withdraw because you realize you don't need what they are seeking. They crave validation, approval, and endless distractions. You, on the other hand, are learning to live in truth. This shift doesn't happen overnight. It's subtle. One day you laugh at the same jokes, follow the same patterns, and play the same games. The next day, those things no longer resonate, and without effort, without conflict, distance appears on its own. Here is a crucial distinction that many people fail to understand. Solitude is not loneliness. To be lonely is to crave company and feel its absence as pain. To be in solitude is to stand strong in your own presence without needing constant reinforcement from the outside world. Seneca, the Roman Stoic, said it best. The greatest freedom is to be content with oneself. Most people fill their lives with distractions just to avoid being alone with themselves. They run from silence because silence forces them to face who they really are. But the Stoic path embraces silence. It treats solitude as a teacher, a mirror reflecting what is real and what is illusion. When you sit alone, you stop performing. You don't need to impress anyone. You don't need to maintain an image. In that stillness, clarity begins to rise. At first it feels uncomfortable, almost unbearable. But with time, it transforms into strength. What others call emptiness becomes peace. What they call isolation becomes freedom. The chosen man walks alone, not because he can't connect, but because he has discovered a deeper connection with truth, with reason, with the self. Now, here's where it gets uncomfortable for others. When you stop playing the social games, people notice. They sense that you are no longer trying to impress them, no longer seeking their approval, no longer feeding into the endless cycle of flattery and validation, and this unsettles them. Why? Because your authenticity exposes their performance. When you stop pretending, you quietly reveal how much of everyday life is based on pretense. You no longer give empty reassurances. You no longer fake agreement just to keep the peace. And this disrupts the invisible rules that hold most relationships together. Some will admire this shift. They will see your independence as strength, but others will feel threatened. They will call you distant, arrogant, or difficult. What they really mean is that you no longer reflect their illusions back to them. You've become unpredictable, not because you seek conflict, but because you refuse to shrink yourself to fit their comfort. This is the price of authenticity, and also the essence of Stoicism. To live according to truth, not appearances. Most friendships and social bonds are not built on depth or truth. They are built on habit, comfort, and mutual illusions. People bond over shared complaints, gossip about work, and endless talk about what they don't like. And while those exchanges feel like connection on the surface, they are little more than noise. The Stoics warned about this. Epictetus taught that if you spend too much time with those who complain, you will inherit their misery. When you stop participating in these patterns, when you no longer complain, no longer join the chorus of discontent, many of your old friendships naturally dissolve, not because of conflict, but because the foundation they stood on is gone. This is the paradox. When you grow stronger, quieter, and more truthful, you lose many of the connections you once thought were essential. But what fades away was never real to begin with. It was sustained only by the constant performance of keeping up appearances. Once you stop acting, the curtain falls, and many people simply step out of your life. One of the greatest powers of Stoicism is learning to need less, not just materially, but emotionally and socially. The chosen man, the one who has awakened, no longer requires the recognition of others to confirm his worth. He no longer needs to be seen to feel alive. His value is grounded in reason, in virtue, in inner clarity. As Marcus Aurelius reflected, it is not the man who has too little, but the man who craves more, that is poor. The more you free yourself from craving, the richer you become. And so the Stoic learns to walk through life with fewer attachments, fewer expectations, fewer demands placed on others. This does not make him cold. It makes him free. To those still caught in the web of constant validation, this freedom looks like detachment. They may call it arrogance or judgment or withdrawal, but in truth, it is none of those things. It is simply independence. The independence of a mind that no longer seeks permission to be at peace. Silence has a strange power. To most people, silence feels threatening. They rush to fill it with words, laughter, or distractions because silence forces them to face themselves. But for the Stoic, silence is not emptiness. Silence is strength. When you no longer feel compelled to respond, to justify, or to impress, others begin to misinterpret your stillness. They project their insecurities onto you. Your neutrality becomes arrogance in their eyes. Your calmness feels like judgment. Your quietness is mistaken for disinterest. But the Stoic does not live for appearances. He does not adjust his truth to make others feel safe. He has no need to mirror emotions for validation. And so while others may step away, confused, offended, unsettled, he remains centered. Seneca once wrote, "Associate with people who are likely to improve you. Welcome those whom you are capable of improving." This is why the Stoic man seems to walk alone, not because he despises humanity, but because true companionship is rare. Most relationships are built on unspoken agreements. I'll validate your illusions if you validate mine. But the man who chooses truth can no longer participate in this silent bargain. He prefers solitude over pretense, stillness over noise, and authenticity over acceptance. When most social interactions dissolve, what remains is rare but powerful. Authentic companionship. Two people who do not need each other, but choose to walk side by side, not out of fear of being alone, not out of habit, but out of genuine recognition of truth in one another. These relationships cannot be forced. They emerge naturally and only when both individuals have stopped chasing illusions. The Stoic understands that it is better to have a single companion in truth than 100 companions in illusion. And so he waits. He does not rush. He does not settle. He would rather sit in silence than waste his spirit in shallow company. This kind of friendship is precious. It is free of manipulation, free of expectations, free of the exhausting need to be constantly validated. It is the kind of bond that can last a lifetime, precisely because it does not depend on pretense. From the outside, walking alone looks like weakness. People assume it means you have no one, that you've been rejected, that you've failed to belong. But the Stoic knows otherwise. Walking alone is not weakness. It is strength, for in solitude, he is not empty, but full, not distracted, but focused, not insecure, but at peace. He sees the cost of fitting in, the endless performance, the surrender of truth, the constant negotiation of identity, and he chooses differently. He chooses the harder path, the path of authenticity. Epictetus once said, "If you want to improve, be content to be thought foolish and stupid." Walking alone means accepting that the world will misunderstand you, that people will call you distant, strange, or arrogant. But the one who accepts this misunderstanding gains something priceless: freedom. At some point, solitude stops feeling unusual. It becomes normal, not empty, just quiet. The Stoic no longer interprets distance as a problem to solve. He sees it for what it is, the natural result of no longer pretending. While others surround themselves with noise, he has learned to live in stillness. While many chase attention, he moves without asking to be seen. People assume he must feel lonely, as if any company is better than none. But he knows the truth. Illusion is more suffocating than solitude. He no longer needs the world to wake up in order to feel whole. He no longer needs agreement to feel clear. He no longer needs validation to know who he is. He walks alone, yes, but not as an outsider. He walks as a man at peace with himself, with nature, with reason, and with the cost of truth. So why does the chosen man walk alone? Because once you commit yourself to truth, discipline, and virtue, you cannot go back to illusions. You cannot unsee what you've seen. And while this path can feel isolating, it is in fact the path to ultimate freedom. Remember this: solitude is not your enemy. Noise is, pretense is, illusion is. When you learn to stand strong in silence, you are no longer lonely. You are free. And that freedom, quiet, disciplined, and unshakable, is the essence of Stoicism. If this message resonated with you, take a moment to reflect on your own life. Where are you still performing? Where are you still craving approval? And what would it mean for you to walk more authentically, even if it means walking alone? If you found value in this reflection, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share your thoughts in the comments below. And if you're ready to go deeper into Stoic wisdom, check out the next video I've linked here. It's going to challenge the way you see yourself and the world. Thank you for watching. Stay strong, stay true, and remember, walking alone doesn't mean being lost, it means walking in truth.